Stop right there. I'm in.
You are?
Yeah, I need friends.
Not every Hollywood star is able to cope with the heavy burden of popularity. Stress, nervous breakdowns, a bag of psychological problems go hand in hand with a brilliant appearance on the red carpet. Someone looks for salvation in alcohol, someone copes with it with a psychologist, and someone buys a farm and creates his own sect with an altar and marijuana. Today, that someone is Ezra Miller. Biographer Express is with you, and we are going to tell you about a talented and popular actor who, according to many, has gone crazy. In fact, Miller became a time bomb, and the countdown of the last moments of their glory is underway. It's time to remember the craziest things Ezra Miller did and figure out who the fast-rising star became or what they turned into.
1.
The actor had a rather complex nature from early childhood, even when they began to have problems with the law, but at that time, their mistakes were considered a childish prank, so parents did not attach much importance to the antics. The police first detained Ezra at the beginning of their career, when the 16-year-old Miller was working on the film The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Then the actor used marijuana while driving and got caught by the guardians of the law. They were immediately arrested for drug possession. The case went to trial, but Miller was only fined $600 for disorderly conduct. In subsequent interviews, the actor stated that they were not going to stop using as they considered marijuana harmless. During the court hearing, the judge gave them a lecture about the harmful influence that an actor can have on his young colleagues in the film. Perhaps the speech really influenced Miller, since after this incident they did not get into scandals for almost 10 years. However, the young rebel could not control himself for a long time, and soon the artists found themselves in the center of a big scandal. A notable incident involving Miller occurred in the spring of 2020, at the height of the coronavirus pandemic. The incidents happened in a Reykjavik bar, which the actor visited every time he arrived in the city. Apparently, a group of rather persistent fans approached the artist, and then a quarrel began between them. A few seconds of communication of young people were recorded on video.
Learn it? Did you want to fight? Is that the deal?
Whoa, bro.
Fight?
Social media users reacted sharply to the video with Miller's attack on a fan. During the day, many posts were published on Twitter with memes about a broken career and condemnation of the actor's act. The victim did not report the incident to the police, and the story was quickly forgotten. Later, the actor gave a stuffed elephant to the bar as a sign of reconciliation, but their reputation was damaged. Previously, they had already beaten some stranger in a bar, but then it was mistaken for a misunderstanding between two friends and no one intervened, and the man never contacted the police. But the series of troubles in Ezra's life was just beginning. In the spring of 2020, they were supposed to star in the movie Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, but production was suspended due to the pandemic. Then the actor again settled on an island in Iceland. As Ezra's friends later reported, their unstable behavior of that period could be due to the fact that the actor was going through the divorce of his parents. In Iceland at that time, Miller was accompanied by their 55-year-old spiritual mentor and healer Jasper Young Bear. The man compelled the actor that they were the Messiah, and the Masons sent demons to kill them. Ezra immersed themselves in the study of the spiritual practices and culture of the indigenous peoples of America. Young Bear also informed his mentee that they were destined to marry an 18-year-old activist, Toccata Iron Eyes. The healer inspired the actor that they were the Messiah, and the young woman was an Indian goddess Lakshmi, and together they were destined to lead the world to the apocalypse. Toccata's mother, Jumping Eagle, confirmed that she had heard about Miller's messianic tendencies to make something like a revolution. The woman also complained that Ezra manipulated others and used their gender identity to insult those who condemn them. If somebody pisses off Ezra, they're transphobic, or a transphobic Nazi. Because we're trying to protect our daughter and we're trying to point out what Ezra's done to harm our daughter, now we're transphobic. Also, the girl's parents claimed that Ezra was using her psychological problems for their own purposes. In addition, the actor probably convinced Iron Eyes that she was a non-binary person and should change her name to Gibson. They met in 2016 when Toccata was only 12. Miller even brought her to the filming of their movies and promised to pay for her studies. In general, Toccata's parents were sure that the actor wanted to seduce the mentee, and it was because of them that the girl dropped out of school. According to the young woman's relatives who tried to pick her up from Miller's farm, she had no bank card, no driver's license, no car key, and her phone was also controlled by the actor. Toccata's parents had to fight for the issuance of a protective order, and as a result, the trial in the case of the corruption of a young woman was set for July 12, 2022. Before it, Miller was forced to stay away from her family members, but the authorities could not find Ezra to serve the subpoena. The artists ridiculed this situation in their social networks by posting a photo with a caption, "You cannot touch me, I am in another universe," after which they deleted the account. Toccata also commented on the resident case in social networks. She accused her parents of transphobia, said she dropped out of school because she was worried about the death of a friend, and thanked Miller for support and protection. No one knew where the young woman was, and at some point her parents abruptly changed their minds, saying that she could continue to travel with Ezra, although no one ever took their opinions into account anyway. Miller's mysterious farm in Vermont was at the center of all this madness. In June 2020, it was reported that they kept a woman with 3 children there, surrounded by weapons. However, the woman commented on this information as follows. Ezra's home ranch has been a healing haven for us. They may have firearms for self-defense purposes, and they are stored in a part of the house that the children never go in. My kids are able to relax more into their healing because of the safety and nurturing Ezra has been providing for them. And yet, it is not completely clear whether Ezra Miller adheres to safety regulations by storing weapons in the house. According to a Rolling Stone magazine source who conducted his own investigation, the 1-year-old child was found with a loose bullet in their mouth. Video footage from April, reviewed by Rolling Stone, appeared to show at least 8 assault weapons, rifles, and handguns lying around the living room, with some weapons propped up next to a pile of stuffed animals. In turn, social workers who visited the farm found that nothing threatens the children's health, but at the same time, it turned out that the artist illegally grew marijuana. Yeah, they have not given up on their longtime hobbies. Vanity Fair journalists wrote in their recent investigation that the actor turned the house into a camp for his improvised cult. Miller built an altar surrounded by bullets, marijuana, and flash figures. There, young women have to leave their mobile phones so that Ezra could choose one of them for exploitation, for personal purposes. Every year, the mysterious farm is overgrown with more and more crazy rumors, and it is extremely difficult to figure out what is true and what is not. Ezra is said to have their own harem, and despite the fact that they position themselves as a non-binary personality, according to insiders, this is not entirely true. Ezra controls all the sex as the man, and plays the women against each other, screams at them, belittles them in front of the others. For a long time, Ezra Miller's career flourished, being already in the status of the star of Fantastic Beasts and Justice League. The actor again got into a scandal. That time, in January 2022, they posted a video clip on their Instagram account with threats to North Carolina Ku Klux Klan members. The actor advised them to shit themselves or continue doing their business until someone comes for them.
Hello, first of all, how are y'all doing? It's me. Look, if y'all want to die, I suggest just killing yourselves with your own guns. Okay?
But the story with the video ended there. No one understood why Miller suddenly published a video and how they were going to fight their enemies. In the comments, users joked that they would love to watch a movie in which Miller defied the entire Ku Klux Klan. Later, they deleted the video from their account, but the internet does not forget anything, because the video quickly became viral in all journalistic investigations, and thus the activity around their person increased significantly again. But Ezra did not stop, and not allowing people to get far away from the last trick, they again attracted attention to themselves. In early spring, the actor arrived in Hawaii and apparently spent several weeks there. The rest turned out to be intense. Miller was accused of a great many things. The police received about 10 complaints about the actor's behavior. For example, they took videos of people without permission, became abusive towards others, and refused to leave the sidewalk areas of restaurants. In the end, Miller was finally arrested because of a fight with karaoke bar patrons. According to the police, the actor did not like how the victims performed Lady Gaga's Shallow. The artist first shouted obscenities and then grabbed the microphone from the singing woman and attacked the man playing darts. During the detention, Miller stated that they had been arrested illegally and was outraged by being addressed as Sir. The actor said that they identify themselves as a non-binary person and asked to call themselves by the correct pronoun. The artist reminded the officer that in the United States, such an address could be considered a hate-motivated crime. "Hey, you just touched my penis. Please don't do that. I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man." In response, the policeman apologized and said that he was trying to treat Miller with dignity. As a result, the actor was released after posting a $500 bail. It was probably paid for by a married couple in whose hostel the actor lived in Hawaii. However, the story did not end there. A couple of days later, those people contacted the police themselves. According to them, after the incident at the karaoke bar, Miller broke into the couple's bedroom and began shouting to the man that he would bury him in his slut wife. In addition, Miller stole their personal belongings and documents. The victims asked to issue a restraining order so that the actors could not approach them. As a result, the judge granted the appeal, but in mid-April, the couple suddenly dropped the charges. Why does Ezra get away with everything, every time? Are these coincidences? Write in the comments. We will be happy to discuss such strange circumstances with you. It should be noted that Miller did not dispute the charge of attacking bar patrons and still paid the fine. Each time it might seem that it was worse than ever and it was time for the actor to think. But believe us, the situation around their person was only heating up with each new day. The next incident happened again in Hawaii. By the way, at that time the long-awaited Flash was filmed, but even this did not stop Ezra. Miller came to a party in a private house where they were obviously not expected. When they were asked to leave the event, they got angry and threw a chair at a 26-year-old woman. The artist injured the victim's forehead, but she refused medical help. Miller was arrested but later released during the investigation. Fans, in turn, tried to react positively. There were a lot of memes on this topic on the web at that time in order to dilute the horror that was going on around Ezra's persona.
Ezra Miller, you have terrorized the good people of Hawaii for too long! For the good of the people of this island, I will defeat you! Oh!
Ezra can really be considered lucky because for all their misdeeds, they could always get off with a fine or a simple disappearance. Miraculously, many victims simply forgot about Miller's behavior. The reason for this is unknown, but some admit the possibility that everyone just thinks that Ezra will still be able to pay off in any situation.
Tell me about this.
This is a person who looks exactly like me, but who is definitely not me.
However, the following incident made everyone think that their idol could spend half of his life behind bars. Not so long ago, the police announced that Ezra was facing a 26-year sentence for a burglary charge in Vermont. According to investigators, Ezra Miller broke into the empty house of Isaac Vinegar. The artist allegedly searched for ingredients for a recipe for his mother and also stole 3 bottles of alcohol. In the end, the punishment was significantly lightened. The artist's side has long insisted on the client's innocence. Later, the actors still admitted their guilt, and at the moment, they faced only a suspended sentence and a fine of $500. You might think that at this stage, the actor finally came to their senses and started working on themselves. But you were mistaken again. Do you know what else could be your mistake? Watching our videos without a subscription. After all, we will soon have new interesting stories releasing, and you can skip them. So, click on the bell and the subscription button, and we continue. At the beginning of 2022, the actor offered producer Oliver Ignatius to work on new tracks. He agreed because they had known each other since adolescence and had already collaborated earlier. But already in May, Ignatius accused the actor of stealing and allegedly distributing the written music, even the one that Miller was not involved in. According to the musician, he met with Miller several times to discuss music. Ignatius said that the actor was going through a hard period and behaved quite rudely. However, they continued to work in the hopes of writing great songs. But the friends had a serious fight when they met in the spring after several arrests of Miller. The actor did not like the lyrics of the song about the violence of a man against a woman. Ignatius believed that creative people should speak out on this topic, but Miller probably thought differently. Immediately after the quarrel, Ignatius said that he no longer wanted to work with his partner, and a few hours later, the actor posted on social networks a link to download their music from SoundCloud. They did it in a new account called Negative Ghostwriter. Moreover, there were not only raw versions of joint tracks by Ignatius and Miller, but also the producer's own works in that playlist. As a result, the musician accused a former colleague of copyright infringement and was going to bring the case to court. Ignatius noted that Miller had behaved differently before, and it was hard for the musician to come to terms with the kind of person Ezra had become. In mid-June 2022, Miller was banned from approaching a 12-year-old teenager. The parents said that the artist wanted to get closer to the child, calling him a mystical being who needed a mentor like Miller. The actor also invited the teenager to their farm to look after the horses. Miller threatened the boy's family with a gun as they once argued about Rastafarianism while discussing a board game, and the actor accused the teenager's mother of vampirism because of her love of Gothic images and cultural appropriation. The conflict lasted several months before the family contacted the police, but after the incident with Takata Iron Eyes, Miller has never contacted the victims. By that time, the premiere of The Flash was approaching, but the Warner Bros. Film company simply did not know what to do with such a problematic person as Ezra. In August 2022, Ezra met with the bosses of Warner Bros. Discovery, where for the first time they personally apologized for their inappropriate behavior. They also made a public statement. Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life. After that, the producers still allowed the actor to participate in the shooting of the film. Despite all of the above situations, there are still those who support the actor in such a hard period for them. Some fans believe that Miller is just lost and they should undergo psychotherapy. It remains only to believe that Ezra will come to their senses and finally take care of his mental health. Otherwise, they'll face the unthinkable consequences, from which they will not be able to get off with a fine or disappearance on the islands, because even now, their career is hanging by a thread.
You can be whatever you want to be. You're brilliant, man. Absolute best of the best.
Another promising disappointment of Hollywood was, yes, many probably guessed, it was Shia LaBeouf. His provocative antics still leave a lot of questions, and in this video we decided to figure out whether everything that a celebrity makes is just part of his self-promotion, or has he really gone mad? Follow the link and watch what one of the most promising stars of the film industry once turned into, and why he became an outcast among colleagues. Biographer Express was with you. Don't forget to like this video. See you soon.